All right, so I want to talk a little bit more about covenants. Um, in my last video, I talked about how I see the new covenant and the old covenant as two halves of the same covenant. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. The reason I tend to think of it that way is because they both fall under the umbrella of what? Of the covenant given to Abraham by God. And which what was that covenant? The covenant was that God would give Abraham offspring, an offspring that would go on to bless all the nations of the earth. So the old covenant and the new covenant were the means through which that covenant given to Abraham would come to pass. So that's why I see it as two halves of the same covenant, because really it is all part of the covenant given to Abraham. And how did that fulfill the covenant given to Abraham? Well, of course, the Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob. Jacob had his 12 sons, who went on to form the 12 tribes of Israel. And then Moses led Israel out of Egypt to Sinai, and God gave Moses the Old Covenant, which otherwise known as the law. So the law was given to one nation. God chose one nation with that Old Covenant. And the purpose was to model God's character to the nations. Well, obviously Israel utterly failed at that, so Jesus, a Jewish man, born of the tribe of Judah, fulfilled the Old Covenant by doing what? By keeping every single one of the laws given to Moses by God. He did that, and he was killed anyway, and he took the punishment for all of us. Jew, Gentile, doesn't matter. All of us who could never have any hope of fulfilling even one of those laws given to Moses. He kept all of them perfectly, without fail, and he took our punishment anyway. Then he rose from the dead 3 days later, breaking the power of death over mankind, ascended to heaven, and 12 men of the nation of Israel, of Abraham's offspring, then went on to spread the gospel to the entire world. It's all one story. It's all connected. It's all part of the same story. So when we separate Old Covenant and New Covenant, when we place too much emphasis on New Covenant, if we say that the Old Covenant is no longer for today, we eliminate half the story. And then the new covenant doesn't make any sense. We need both, because it's all one story. It's all part of the same covenant, which is the covenant given by God to Abraham. So let me know what you think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.